Hi, big hair. Anyways, so I found this YouTuber called Canada Land. Sorry, just fixing the angle, and I love them. They're a cool channel. I just started watching a few of the videos. The one I watched just now, though, that inspired this video is The Globe and Mail Hates Young People. And this is not just the Globe and Mail, though, because they're showing articles and everything else, but this is a general way of thinking, and they do address this as well, is that the idea that young people are lazy and we're just racking up all this stupid debt because we're too lazy to do anything about it, and we're stuck living at home with our parents because we can't afford, because we're not bothering to get a job and all this other stuff. But thing is that, and they're saying stuff like, when I was a kid, I had a summer job to pay off my education. You can't do that anymore because minimum wage is ridiculously low. You can't get a job that pays more. It's really hard to get a job that pays more than minimum wage without a college degree. And even then, it's so hard to get a job in your field, and just having a college degree, you could get a totally different job that's technically doesn't need a college education, but you got it because you went to post-secondary, so they think you're a better person or whatever, when really you spent all that money going to university or college to get a job that doesn't pay much more than a job that you could have gotten from high school just having your high school education sometimes. Because like you could have Joe Schmo graduate high school, manage to get a job doing something, and he managed to, move up in the company, and he's making a decent amount of money. And then you get person B here, or Joe Schmo 2, who went to post-secondary, and there wasn't any jobs like that available because they were all taken by person A. And so and then the only way so they couldn't have gotten the high school job, but hey, I went to post-secondary, and they're like, yeah, okay, fine, we'll take you, and it's the same kind of job. But the only reason why you got it was because there's so many people applying. There's that small amount of increase in interest, just because, hey, this person went to post-secondary, maybe they're like better at this shit, which doesn't always. The problem is that post-secondary education costs ridiculous amounts of money. The interest on student loans is ridiculously high, and everyone is against us. Everyone is so fucking ageist, and then so they say they get ageist to the point of getting in the way of our success, and then they get mad and call us lazy for not being successful. Like, come on. That is just stupid and annoying. Because I've worked in environments where I was just a kid, what do I know? And they hated it that I was smarter than them. But they don't realize is that kids are learning, like, school is a lot harder than it used to be. Kids are learning things years younger. I remember when I was in high school, in grade 9, my mom was helping me with my science homework, and she was shocked at what I was learning in grade 9 science. She said, I didn't learn this shit till grade 13, back when that existed. Like, for fuck's sakes, like, kids are graduating high school with information that, most adults nowadays, who are like around middle age, weren't learning until post-secondary education. So, and then they get mad when they, like, I worked in an environment, most of these people just had a high school education from decades ago. And then they always got so pissed off and annoyed at me, and I was giving write-ups at work for being rude to my whatever, for just being smarter and able to learn things faster than them. I was getting complaints about being being a show-off and, belittling other people and everything else, just by making sure that the customers were getting correct information. I have a habit of spouting facts whenever something reminds me of it. And I was getting called out by older employees because I was smarter than them. And I'm not trying to say, hey, look at me, I'm so smart, and look at all those stupid old people. But, like, this is an actual problem where old people hate young people because they have more achievements, even though they shouldn't, almost. Like, there's this kind of, the old people are saying that the children are being entitled, when in reality, the young people are working hard, and so they have greater skill sets, and yet old people are treating them like stupid children, and so they get pissed off, and they act entitled because they are entitled in a lot of these cases. Like, these people have good education, good work ethic, and they're not getting jobs, but, like, fucking 80-year-old Denise, this is actually someone I worked with, she was getting, like, when I was at my old, we had fucking, the most of the employees were between 70 and 85 years old, and they were getting sick all the time, and I would lose hours whenever they weren't sick, and then I would only really get decent amount of hours when they were sick, which happened a lot. And then after I left, all these people were getting sick like crazy because they're fucking old, because they only wanted to hire old people or something because they didn't trust young people, apparently. And now that they were running into so many problems having to hire people because they just were completely understaffed, because several of them had to go on sick leave at once, and then when they all came back they didn't know what to do, and I was like, well, hello. That company I worked with happened to have so much issues with ageism and sexism and all this other crap. Like, this is the same place I worked where, despite having 3 years equipment handler experience, full health and safety training, and I work out every day, I wasn't allowed to do any heavy lifting because I'm a girl and I might hurt myself, despite the fact that I was the only one who actually lifted things properly by squatting down, straight back, holding it, and then standing up straight back and everything else, whereas everyone else was like hunching over the boxes to pick them up. They would even prefer that a 60-year-old man out of shape with a bad back he lift the boxes, and he had the bad back from working there for 20 years and lifting things with his back instead of his legs. And they said, well, we just don't want you to get hurt. And I'm like, well, are guys impervious to damage now too? It's like, it'd be better if they would get hurt. And I didn't understand this. I'm like, what? Turns out it costs more to cover women and men for small businesses. Like, what the fuck? Oh, sorry, this was an ageist rant and it turned into a sexist rant. My apologies. I did not mean to go to the angry feminist in me. She's been shouting in my ear a lot lately. But yeah, like, there's all these issues of old ideas. I guess this is related because it's these old ideas trying to be applied to modern markets, which just doesn't work. So, old people, just because you're old doesn't mean you're right. Because the problem is, they've actually done a study with doctors. So you have new doctors who just came out of med school who patients are a little bit more wary of, and they'd rather go to the old, more experienced doctor, when it turns out that they would have gotten better service and more accurate diagnosis and prescriptions from the new one. People are like, what? Because the old one gets stuck, and because medical advancements are happening all the time, and the new one just came out of not high school, sorry, at a post-secondary, getting his PhD and everything else, or her, whatever. So he or she has all the information and has learned things on how all the modern medical practices, whereas the old guy, he graduated from doctor school, sorry, my brain is fried today, sorry, like decades and decades ago, and there's been several medical advancements since then that he may or may not have been kept up to date on, and there's no way to regulate that. So, like, for fuck's sakes, we're getting smarter and smarter with every generation, and yet we're getting treated as stupider and stupider. You should never limit someone because of something over which they have no control. You should never make someone's life harder over which something they have no control. Whether it be age, whether it be race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, ethnicity, cultural background, etc., etc., etc. Because when you limit another person, you limit yourself and the whole world, and you hold society back from the advancements that you always complain about. Like, I see complaints, it's like, scientists, why aren't you doing this? It's because fucking, like, we can't advance as a society and make society better and more enjoyable for everyone if we're treating people like crap for no reason.